Good morning, good morning. It has been a while since my last video. I want to say hi to everybody. It has been a very interesting last month. So appreciate everybody for the patience. I got a lot of messages over the last few weeks asking about when's the next video coming out. And also been getting a lot of emails. From a lot of people looking into sales techniques, looking into whole host of things. Some people were looking into Techno Tutor. I know I mentioned. But want to give you guys a rundown on a few different things. This video is specifically going to be about leadership and leadership qualities. And to give you guys a little bit of background, just a few things that have happened since my last video. So, in the last month, I was actually in Vegas twice. Once was for fun. They both were really fun actually, but one was with the girlfriend and her family, had a great time, went out to some of the best restaurants I have ever been to. And then the second one was actually for the Global Information Network's seminar that I do routinely. I go to these things usually every 3 to 6 months. A lot of fun. I get a lot of value from them. I was there, and the whole seminar was about leadership. So I thought I would take a chance to actually jot down some notes. My notes are actually I don't even think I'm not even going to put them up, but a binder basically, and I'm trying to condense them. So I'm going to give you a segment of some of those things where they talked about leadership qualities. I thought some of this stuff was really, really good. I got a lot of value out of. And some of the other things that happened. So I got back from Vegas and I got COVID. I got COVID this week. And I've been, it definitely hit me on Tuesday, but it wasn't that bad. Just kind of tired. And then after 2 days, was pretty much ready to go. And as you can see, back to everything. The girlfriend right now is up in looking at our new place possibly. She's doing final interviews in Oregon and looking at potential houses we're going to rent out. So a lot of fun things are coming underway. It's a really exciting time. And also going to be starting a new role. There's a few companies I want to share a quick story on something that I thought was cool. So if this is your first time to the channel, I'm into self-development and I'm also into law of attraction. And law of attraction is really kind of your energy kind of creating your own reality. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I'll give you guys a quick story that in the past I work primarily as a headhunter, work in recruitment and talent acquisition. And I have trained a lot of recruiters as well. I've trained a lot of recruiters, people that are both who have experience, also people who are just starting from scratch. Well, anyway, there was a girl who I had trained, very entry level, amazing work ethic. She did a phenomenal job, and she worked at the company that I work at right now. And she decided to move on, which is fine. That's, I totally understand. She decided to move on, but we kept in touch, and she always was very thankful on me teaching her all these recruiting skills, all these sales skills, all these marketing skills. She was always very, very thankful. And she was always, very appreciative of everything I would do. And I was just doing it because she was a nice person, as well as that was my role. And I like to help people if I can. So anyway, she left our company maybe 6 months ago. Fast forward 6 months, we've been keeping in touch. She called me up. There was something happened at work recently where a lot of different cuts are coming down. Cuts all across the board. And the same day this happens, she reaches out and says, hey, there's this amazing opportunity with our company. I wanted to first let you know about it because I think you'd be perfect. I ended up talking to their CEO, and it was perfect. And it also could be a amazing opportunity with a new startup, a lot more money. Even I was like, wow. And we'll see what happens, but it's looking pretty good. I'm talking with them currently. And I think that this really has to go, there's two big things that I really recommend. Number one, Global Information Network. That's where you learn about just life skills and learning about law of attraction also to a new level. The other thing I recommend is Techno Tutor. Techno Tutor really is a software program that allows you to take everything from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. And if you guys, if you haven't, check out my other video I did on TechnoTutor. But this is a big key thing that has made me increase my income over the last 2 years at a rate that I've never had before. And there's always like these type of things, serendipitous situations where this happens. And this is the latest one. I'm like, wow, this is another thing where it just keeps getting better. So I would really recommend check out that video. Those are two things. Anyway, on to the actual reason why we're here. So this whole thing is about leadership. And these are notes that I taken from the event and I thought would be good. And I think it could add a lot of value to anybody. So leadership traits. Number one, leadership is a learned skill. You know, they always say like our leaders like born or made. You know, some people have a natural charisma, have a natural leadership tendencies, but overall, yeah, it's a learned trait. Anybody who can be a leader. And leadership is something that everybody can learn better. Okay, even the best leaders are always trying to become better. Okay, if you're not a leader in something, learn these skills. It's going to level up every area of your life. And the first thing is you have to lead yourself first. Lead yourself first. A lot of people think being a leader means leading an organization or a sales team. For myself, yeah, a sales team or a recruiting team. And yeah, I'm in those leadership positions. But first off, it really is about yourself. It's how do you wake up in the morning? Do you get going? Or do you kind of just take your time? Are you doing things without somebody telling you to do them? Are you showing initiative? Leadership can be demonstrated anywhere. So it's really leading yourself first. It's getting to where you want to go or where you need to go, right? Without somebody telling you, right? It's taking that extra step right there. So in the whole event, the part of the thing was they were looking at different archetypes of leadership, people that you've known through history. And I thought one that really stood out to me was one they did on General George S. Patton. And if you're not aware of George S. Patton, he was the general in World War II for the Allies. He was American. And he was the general of the Third Army. And he has a very interesting backstory. And I had heard about him a little bit. I actually read a biography about him a few years ago. My dad's actually a pretty big historian. He loves talking about World War II. And I think I've definitely gotten into it more as I start learning about this stuff. And looking at generals, successful generals, I think is very key. And people talk about leadership. You really see it in sports and war. That's one form of it. You see people who kind of come to fruition or will level up or rise to the top in those circumstances, especially in like sports that we can see all the time. Anybody who knows, watches like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady are going to know that these guys demonstrate leadership qualities. So anyway, going back to George S. Patton, he was the general in the 40s during World War II, Third Army. And they showed a few different things about him. So there's a movie called Patton. I was actually watching it yesterday. And there's a few different scenes in there. The big thing is with a leader goes to the problem head on. So whenever there was a problem going on in his ranks or with the enemy, he'd go right for it. He would lead from the front. He led by the front. He led by example, and he would go to where the problem was. He didn't, dismay it. He didn't sweep it under the rug. He went right to where the problem is, and he assessed the situation. He looked around. He was able to be clear on it, and then he gave specific, simple directions to the men. Simple, specific directions. He gave clear action steps with a sense of urgency. Very important. Now, you can use that example in your business. Are you not facing certain problems? Are you not facing certain challenges? Or are you just unaware of them? Are you not asking the right questions? So big things to really take a part of. A big thing they talked about that you're probably not going to hear much of is they definitely mentioned the yin versus yang leadership energy. And this kind of goes into the law of attraction realm, but it's very, very important. Yin and yang leadership energy, there's kind of a balance of energy within leaders. And Patton really demonstrated this. Now, an example, what does this mean exactly? Well, yang is the masculine energy. Yin is the kind of the feminine energy. Another way of saying this, yang is kind of the dominant energy. Yin is kind of the receptive energy. And all of us have that in some way. We all have a little bit of yin and yang in ourselves. And when people think of kind of like the typical, rah, when you're like, we're going to go this way, we're going to, power. That's the yang energy. That's definitely like, we're going this way, that's it, period. It's the can-do attitude that you see in a lot of leaders. Now, the yin energy is really the compassionate side. It's love for everybody. It's love for your team. It's showing compassion. And there's a scene in Patton where they're pinned down on this road. There's kind of a bottleneck on the bridge. They're pinned down on the road. They're getting fire from everywhere. Like all this heavy artillery has rained down on him. He's like, what the hell's going on? What's the holdup? And he drives his like mini car, that he was in right to the front. So again, he goes right to where the problem is. What's there? And they're being held up by this old Sicilian with these two mules. And he's like, oh my, like, what the hell? You let everybody dying in the back here from this thing? And he acted pretty rashly, and then he basically shot the two mules, dumped them overboard so that his men could get out of that firefight. And so, because they were dying. It's like, dude, if you waste another second, more would die. Now, this is a big brash scene. It's a big scene that I think, even when I saw it, was like, geez, intense. But I learned this later, and they said this in the seminar series where I didn't realize that because I had watched the movie before. Yeah, he took charge of the situation. That's like that yang leadership. The yin leadership was that people don't know that Patton was actually from a very rich family. He came from a very wealthy militaristic family. And he actually came back around and paid the Sicilian 10 times what the mules were worth. So he made sure that, like, okay, we need to compensate the Sicilian for his loss, because that's probably his livelihood. So he definitely took charge. He had to do what was in the best interest of his men, but also he had compassion for other people, right? He knew it was a big hit, and he came back around and gave the guy 10 times what it was worth. So, yin and yang of leadership. I thought, so if you ever, definitely look at biographies of George S. Patton. I think he's a good role model of leadership. And he's not the only one. There's many, many ones, but he's a good example of, you can learn a lot from it, basically. So, there's a lot of other qualities of leadership. These are not obviously the other ones, but I wanted to jot down a few different things, kind of list them all out, things that you can use. And again, remember, you lead yourself first. It's, it's getting up in the morning, excited for the day, doing the things that you know you need to do to make either your life better or the people around your life better, and getting the job done. So the first thing is that leaders have a do it now attitude. They get the job done right now. Procrastination, and nobody's perfect, but yeah, we all have a lot of procrastination in our minds. They are focused. They have do it now. They don't time waste, okay? Some of the best people, if you think of the CEOs, do you think that they're watching YouTube all day? Do you think that they're watching like little clips? Now, they do sharpen the blade. They definitely read on the industry that they're in, or the products they're in, the services they're in, or they learn a little bit more about that stuff. So learning is okay, but they don't spend all day learning, and they don't spend all day kind of doing things that they know is not going to give them a return on investment, okay? So they definitely are focused, and they definitely spend their time wisely, knowing what's going to be the best possible results. So number one, do it now attitude, right? Second, leaders take action. They're action oriented. And I'm a law of attraction guy, so I meditate. I definitely think about things. I definitely focus on being positive, but you want to take action. You need to move your ass, once in a while. If you want to get things to happen in your life, if you want your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life. Another thing, determination. As we discussed, leaders have determination. They have that attitude of singleness of purpose. Okay, they have the attitude of they are moving forward with or without anyone. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what the critics think. They're moving this way. Okay, and usually, plus, they're going to the top. They have that attitude that it doesn't matter what's going to stand in their way. They're going to get to that. So having that feeling of moving forward and momentum and nothing's going to stop them, and they have that determination, right? And they know that it's never going to happen the way you think it is. It's never all perfect. There's going to be obstacles that come up. There's going to be things that sidetrack you. There's going to be, different, challenges that come up for you. But they still make the decision that they're going to hit the end result. Okay? And also, leaders show strength of character. And character means that they follow through. They finish what they started. They finish a cycle. They follow through completely on the decision they make. And they follow through on a decision long after the excitement and the emotion of the moment has passed. Okay? So it's very easy when you make a decision, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm excited. Yay. Say like a new business, for example. Everybody, you're talking with your friends at the bar. We're gonna open our own bar. Yeah. And then the next day, a lot of people are like, I don't know about that, actually. It happens all the time. Winners and leaders always stick to it, even when the excitement's gone. They follow through and they take those action steps bit by bit, the next step, getting to the end result. Okay? So, another thing about leaders is they have confidence. They have certainty. They have confidence on what they do. Right? Because and they make sure that's in line with the purpose that they have. It's in line with who they are as a person. It's for the betterment of their lives. And it's also good with their skill sets, first off. But yeah, leaders have confidence. They have confidence in themselves, confidence in their abilities, and confidence in the end result that they're trying to get. All right, what else? Leaders adapt and improvise. I think it's the Marines that say adapt and overcome. I believe that's what it is. So what does that mean? It means the road to wherever you want to go, success, for example, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be all over the place, zigzag all over, right? It's also, number one, staying focused. You're finishing what you started, but also adapting to the situation. Look at the last 2 years of what's happened to the world. A lot of people, a lot of leaders have had to adapt their business model or their company to fit what's going on. They've had to do extreme pivots. So true leaders, those who stayed stagnant or who basically just didn't change at all, usually are not in business anymore. So true leaders adapt and improvise, and they work hard. Okay, it's never smooth sailing. They are putting in the time, effort. They're positive about what they're doing, but they are working smart and they are working hard. Okay? Leaders also take responsibility. They don't blame anybody else but themselves. They believe in their business that success and failure is completely on them. Now, looking at sales, all this stuff you can use the same way. Okay? Starting with yourself first. Even if you don't, if you have an organization, you are responsible for the organization. You're responsible for yourself and for your team. You're leading from the front. You also have to be the one that is the educator. You're educating them. A good leader is an educator, giving them, the right information to succeed and the right tools to succeed. You are uplifting, you're inspiring, you're motivating. Positive, yeah. It's always like the thing, negative comes up, positive goes down. Anybody who's under you, you are showering with positivity. And usually going up to the CEO, it's the other way. This happens in a lot of companies. But overall, you have to take responsibility. And number one, it's not just taking responsibility for your sales organization, but taking responsibility for yourself and your own life. You're not blaming anybody else or the circumstances. You're taking 100% responsibility for anything and everything in your life. So very, 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 very key. So we covered a lot of stuff right now. Another big important thing is that leaders are not motivated by fear. Okay, they don't do things out of fear. And I'm trying to think of a good example. They're not motivated by fear, but really the desire to gain. Okay, the desire to gain. I'll give you an example back to Patton, actually, in the movie. A lot of people were acting out of fear. Some of the generals, some of the men, it was more like something would happen in the war and they would retreat or go this way on the battlefield. Patton wasn't like that. He was after all the things that he would feel good about, as well as knew what was best for his men. He never stopped. He constantly attacked. And at the same time, his whole thing was gaining glory, not just for himself, but for his men. He wanted to increase morale. He wanted the desire to gain versus not motivated by fear. If you looked at successful CEOs too, they weren't becoming a CEO out of the fear. True CEOs. We're not looking at for the fear of I just don't want to work a job, which happens a lot. You hear a lot of entrepreneurs online that are like, oh, I just didn't want to really work a job, so I became an entrepreneur. Real entrepreneurs are doing it because they love business, they love people, or they love the product or service they do, and they want to do it even better. There's a desire there to improve something, to gain something, whether it is a feeling or to usually share that with other people, some kind of offer of value or service. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, true leaders are not motivated by fear, but for the desire to gain. So think about the things that are actually motivating you. Is there one that are motivating you because of a fear of loss of something? You just don't want to face it? Or is it really it puts a smile on you really want to gain something out of it? So food for thought. Leadership is in everything that we do. From the morning we wake up to when we go to bed, it's looking at your day-to-day. How can I maximize the day? How can I optimize the day? So leadership is really important to constantly practice, to look at, to study, and to see what can you apply in your life. I hope this was helpful. There was an ending quote that somebody said that leaders are winners and winners are leaders. So again, these were some good nuggets of gold that I got from the event. I had a great time. I got to see one of my good friends that was my college roommate as well. Friends from all around the world. Got to check out his house. And then, it was Vegas. It was a lot of fun. If you ever want to reach out, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me. We could definitely book a time to talk. I'd be happy to talk. Usually I keep it about 15, 20 minutes just because I'm pretty busy myself. But happy to chat if you have any questions about anything or need information. Again, I recommend the two biggest things I recommend if you really want to kind of start changing things, level up your life to the next way. I would consider checking out Global Information Network. Check that out, and then also TechnoTutor. This has been a big game changer in the last 2 years that I discovered, and I'm really glad I did. But yeah, it's a software that really enhances, it gets rid of limiting beliefs and enhances a lot of the positive habits that you have, and just momentum just starts. Okay? All right, guys. Have a happy Sunday. I'm going to go enjoy the day. Cheers.